What's up, y'all? Today we're talking about why sponsoring for a green card is not overwhelming. Now, this is in a perspective for companies. Okay, it can be in a perspective for family members like marriages, but I know some of y'all having a tough time with your marriage, and I understand. But today's topic is really focused on for companies, employers, and I'm happy to answer any questions towards the end of the show. But I want to share some pointers on this first, and then but in the meantime, you can drop a question in the comment section, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, and I'll try to answer that a little bit later. Also, if you're interested, we do offer free 15-minute preliminary discussion, kind of like a mini strategy session. If anything, consider like pointing you in the right direction, okay? Because I do realize, and I've heard this through the years, that sometimes people just have like one or two questions. So if it's just one or two questions, we understand there's no need to pay a consult fee. Okay. And then ultimately you might think, well, maybe it's just better to hire an attorney. And we're happy to guide you. At the end of the day, we check in with you every stage of the way. Every time you need to make a decision, we help you, guide you with making that decision. Okay. Now, ultimately, it's your decision to make. But we do believe in sharing information so that you can make the best decision for yourself so you can prevent immigration problems. All right, folks. So today's question is why sponsoring for green card is not actually overwhelming. Again, this perspective for companies, because a lot of most of the time people call us, it's actually the foreign national, the beneficiary, the applicant, and they could be working with the company already, or but sometimes, yes, it is like actually like the small business owner, entrepreneur. It's the person who's in charge of like human resources, um, and they have questions about this, right? About what does it look like in terms of the steps involved with sponsoring an employee for a residency, for a green card. And so typically, for the most common category, it's called EB3, and that is for someone who has, it can be subcategories, what we call professionals, skilled workers, and unskilled workers. Okay. So it's pretty broad. Okay. And the government's process, the first step is what we call prevailing wage. So I wouldn't necessarily call it like minimum wage, but it is a set level set by the Department of Labor. So that prevents companies from undercutting wages. Okay. So that's, so if any conservatives out there thinking that immigrants are taking your jobs and getting less money but taking your jobs, no, that's not the case. You can ask these companies that our clients, you can, I'm sure you can find it. It's pretty high. I wouldn't call it like so high, but it's definitely not undercutting wages. It definitely raised um, with inflation. That's for sure. But generally, the process, okay, was EB2 or for advanced degrees or EB3. It generally takes a year and a half to 2 years. Now, I know that might sound a little bit, it's definitely frustrating because we're frustrated about that process. And most of that process that takes a long time is just with the Department of Labor. Okay. And part of, and towards the tail end, it's not even necessarily for the actual resident status card in hand. Okay. Because if you're in the US, that's what we call adjustment of status. And that's on the form 485. I mean, yes, marriage cases it's being processed much more quickly for decision. These days, this trend in 2023, amazing. About 3 months, 3 to 5 months, amazing. Okay, these are new cases filed. Now, for employee base, I haven't seen that trend where it's going to be processed that quickly. And of course, depending on the country that you're a national of, you could have a much longer wait time because you can't file the 485 or you can't have the visa interview scheduled until the prior date reaches on the visa bulletin. So we believe it's very important for employers to know all the steps because inherently most employers are like, just like if you're posting on Indeed.com or any of these websites, people think or make an assumption, well, hey, I got this person ready to work. They're ready to work. Okay. They're ready to sign the contract or job offer if it requires a contract. Can they start tomorrow? Or could they have started yesterday? And we have to give some pause. Okay. There are steps you have to follow. Now, of course, if someone already is a graduate with the F1 student visa and they have the OPT for at least 12 months, that's different. You can go ahead and start. You follow all your steps you need to with CVIS system, the ICE system. But when it's for residency, you have to time it right. So my message, the advice I want to share, information I want to share with y'all can be different depending on who you are. So if you're a student, for example, and you have F1 student visa, don't wait until you graduate to start looking for jobs, because it takes time for us to share information, or even for you, because if you find a potential employer, but they have never done this process to sponsor a person for residency, it could take them a long time to make a decision. And you really don't have that time. Time is not on your side as a foreign national. And certainly the same can be said for employers, okay? Because a lot of employers, of course, these days, during the pandemic and post-pandemic, we needed to hire someone like 2 weeks ago, essentially. So that kind of give you an idea. Just want to take a quick break. Thanks for joining hear us live with Green Card Guys and Ting Law Group. There's a law firm name. If you have any questions, you're welcome to call in, of course, at the number right above here. Or if you don't have time, but maybe at work or something, you can go to freevisaquiz.com, answer a couple of questions, and you'll probably, I believe how it works, I need to check with the marketing team, that you'll receive a free guide after you sign up. And if anything, it should give you an opportunity to schedule an appointment. Now, for the free 15 minutes, it's not automatic. It's not for everyone, because if you can hear my voice, I always feel like every day when I start the live show, I'm about to lose my voice because I'm talking all day. In addition to live show, team meetings, client meetings, consultations, and of course doing the actual work. But I have to take a break. I need to get a sip of water. But here's the deal. We're here on this show to share free information at no cost to you, trying to point you in the right direction to solve your immigration problem, or maybe even prevent it from happening in the first place. So please try to take advantage of the free 15 minutes. Don't be shy. And, don't think that just because I think some of y'all are shy because you're like, well, I only have one question for now. If that's the case, and you think, obviously confidential, you don't want to, comment down below here, completely understand. You can send us a DM, a private message. You can text us. But ultimately, the best way to be more streamlined is to fill out this form, freevisaquiz.com. Go there. All right. And by the way, if you enjoyed our content in the past and maybe even today's show, if you don't mind going to reviewtinglaw.com, we greatly appreciate your feedback on our customer service, especially if you've talked to one of our team members. Okay. And let's see here. I thought I had the website available. Okay, there it is. Okay, reviewtinglaw.com. All right, so hopefully that gives you some idea on how we approach things. But we have the mindset of sharing more information helps y'all make the best decision, okay? Because sometimes in a consultation, you may have paid a fee to another law firm. And you're like, yeah, it sounds like good information, but it didn't necessarily help you make a decision to take the next step, okay? And so many law firms, I think I can safely say this, they're just very quick. They just want you to sign up. They want you to pay. They want you to sign up. We're all about sharing information to help you make that decision much more easily. Okay. Let's see here. Because we hear a lot of negative stories on, when law firms, let's say back to the topic of the day, why sponsoring a green card is not actually overwhelming is because for us internally, we share the steps. all the way through A through Z, or 1 through and maybe infinity, not infinity, but it's a lot of steps involved. So during each phase of the case, then we start to share more and more. We do have, what we do is we share a Dropbox folder in the cloud. In that folder is a step-by-step timeline. Okay, timeline, but it's estimated because it can change from time to time, right? Depending on the government agency and the caseload. All right, so I see here some comments, but other things, I'll get to that soon. To the topic of the day, why sponsoring for green card is not overwhelming. The other thing you know is that, in terms of like, will it work? People ask that all the time. Will it work? Like, why even go through this process of, you have to post a job again? So because some of y'all maybe have like someone on OPT or H-1B visa working for you currently, and you're thinking, well, why should I care to sponsor someone for green card residency if they're already here with some kind of status? Now, OPT, depending on a STEM, if a STEM is 24 months, but if it's OPT, regular OPT, it's only for 12 months. So companies don't realize this, but I've certainly realized it when I train or our leadership trains a team or our team members, it takes time, right? So it's better for us to keep retain our current workforce, our staff, so you don't always have to, if you have a high turnover, right? You'd rather have someone who's committed. And to get more commitment, if you're in an HR perspective or a company perspective, to get more commitment from a foreign-born workforce, you really need to sponsor for residency. Okay, you need to find a way. Have that discussion with people, because I'm sure people are asking. I'm sure of it, especially people that contact us as a foreign national. Okay, so that's something to consider, because it would be frustrating, of course, if you sponsor for H-1B and then they decide to switch jobs, right? They switch jobs on H-1B. We call it porting, but basically transferring the H-1B visa to some other company. That could be frustrating. So you got to have regular performance reviews, if not every quarter, which I'm not good at. I'm trying to do better at that myself, but at least every year. Okay, you got to put that in your calendar. Don't take it for granted. Okay, your training and all that training, you don't want that to go to waste in your camaraderie and all that. So hopefully that helps, at least on an employer perspective. Okay, and then in terms of why sponsor for green card is not overwhelming, back to the topic is that you really, a lot of people wonder, like, well, can I sponsor my family member? It is possible, but it goes back to about the part of it's even worth it in the first place, is that, if the person is working for you right now in general, not just a family member, but working for you in general, you have to do prevailing wage. That's step number one. And step number two is what we call recruitment. So even though the person could be working for you right now, or you already know who you're helping because you've gone through this process, you still have to formally post a job. It does require it to be online. It could be also done internally with your systems. If you have something called like old school intranet, I guess you can call it. I guess a new phrase people might call is like an employee portal. And they also have to do to the traditional way, posting the job in the new publication. So when I say publication, I mean in the papers, okay, in the newspaper. And no, not online newspaper only. You have to do it in the physical print, okay? And in fact, I'm kind of surprised that the U.S. government still requires that. But, ask yourself, when's the last time you bought a newspaper? Crickets. I'm hearing crickets. I'm pretty sure y'all have not. I think it's safe to guess that you have not purchased a 50-cent or $1 newspaper in quite a while. Okay, unless you went to a hotel and you saw it on the counter, right? But I think those days are going away soon. So so with that in mind, as a requirement by Department of Labor currently, That's why it's easier, okay, to go through this process. That's why it's not as overwhelming. That's why people are still able to get sponsored, because no one's checking the class of the job ads in the newspaper. Okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure not as many people. But yeah, so as part of that process, we have, so after that, step 2, we have the cooling off period. So it's essentially, you can call it like interview process. So if anyone has applied, right, because people are concerned. They're like, well, if I spend all this money, because average to go print for 2 Sundays is at least $1,000 to $1,500 on average. Okay, it changes depending on could be on the week, could be on the weekend. I mean, or the newspaper itself, the company, and of course how many character letters you have in there. So anyway, if someone applies, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to interview them, but you do have to take it basically like a diary, a journal, or in your systems, of course, preferably your systems they use for HR, and write down why that person who applied is not qualified for an interview. Or if the person was qualified for an interview, why that person was not scheduled for an interview, or was scheduled and was not taken to the next step in terms of candidacy. Okay. You have to keep a journal of that, take notes, because Department of Labor can randomly audit your company. So you don't want to take it for granted. So even if 2 people apply, whether 1 person applies or 0, you still have to notate it somewhere so that it's readily available. Because as you go through the month, because after that, after cooling off interview process, we file the labor certification form 9089, and that, folks, oh my gosh, that takes so long. It takes like 5 to 8 months on average. It takes so long. So that's why when I'm beginning the show, I said the entire process can take about almost 2 years. Not even talking about the visa interview or adjustment status. The labor certification eats up most of that time. All right, so you want to think about that. All right, so hopefully this information helped y'all. Let's see here. So I do want to answer some questions. Some I'm not able to answer here, but you'll have to call in because I do have to head out soon for another meeting. You're welcome, Olga. Thank you so much. Happy to share. Y'all a bit shy. I got some questions though. Okay, thanks for joining. I just want to take a quick break here. A sponsor break that Ting Law Group offers the opportunity for you to schedule a free 15-minute preliminary discussion. Call it like a mini strategy session if you like, to see if we can point you in the right direction. Okay. I know a lot of y'all have questions, and maybe it's just one question. So that's why we offer the free 15 minutes. It's not automatic. Okay. No one's entitled to it. We protect our own time, especially in light of protecting mental health. We do receive a lot of inquiries. So please, we try our best to get back to you in 24 hours of a business day, weekday. Yeah, because lately people are like, how come you haven't replied to me? That kind of mentality. And I think that's a bit rude. So yeah, we'll get back to you when we can. I mean, we try our best. I mean, if we're waiting a week, that's a bit long, but we really try our best to get back to you, okay, in a timely manner. So yeah, again, if you do have questions, you're welcome to give us a call right up there, or go to that website and we'll answer your questions. Speaking of mental health, there's someone that keeps posting on our YouTube channel saying that they love this other lawyer. I know this attorney. I don't know if this is a bot, but you definitely want to be careful, because you don't want to be reported to the FBI, okay? It's almost like stalking, if anything. So I recommend you to stop commenting and saying you love that attorney. That's a bit suspicious, okay? You're welcome, Dede, for sharing this. I'm happy to share this information. Okay, Anna K, you've asked a question. Is F3. Okay, so I'm gonna hop this off on LinkedIn. Okay, thank you so much for joining here on LinkedIn. and let us know if you have any questions. I'm going to remove from LinkedIn real quick. I think this is how you do it. Okay, not yet. Alrighty. Okay, I guess I don't know how to do that. Okay, so I'll have to figure that out later. But okay, here on for Anna K. Let me see if I can figure out how to rejoin. Can I rejoin? Okay, I gotta figure that out. All right, okay, to answer your question here, you asked your F3 category, then changed to F1 on your prior date. Are you from Jamaica? Okay. Well, I don't see that you have a question. I'm assuming you're wondering if your prior date reached. So this is actually good for folks on LinkedIn as well, or people that have companies. Let me see if I can find it. I like to share my screen. So what's relevant right now is that we're talking about is the visa bulletin. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, you said F3. They changed to F1 2020, Jamaica. Okay. Here we go. Sharing my screen. All right. So the most updated month right now is May 2023. Scrolling down here, family base, you said you're F1 now, I believe you said. Yeah, F1 now. You're not married, you're single. Okay, your son down, I guess you're one of your parents became a U.S. citizen. So going to chart B in terms of when to take the next step. They're working on cases that have a prior date of January 17th, 2000. I'm sorry, January 1st, 2017. Okay. I'm highlighting that right here. Hopefully you can see my highlight. All right. So Jamaica is on the left side because on the right side is China, India, Mexico, and Philippines. And they have typically the longest wait time. So hopefully that helps. All right. You want to contact us because Anna K, your name sounds familiar. So you might want to contact us, send us an email or text, and we'll share more information with you on this conversion. Okay. So you're ready for the next step. Okay, Omar, how about Somalia? What's going on? Everything look okay? I'm not as in touch about about any kind of political turmoil over there in most countries right now, currently, if that's what you're asking. But you also asked, why not talk about Turkey? Going to have a long way to Turkey or from Turkey, I guess. So yeah, let me share my screen again. Okay. Omar, need a bit more information about about what kind of case you have, right? What kind of? I'm assuming it sounds like you have something filed already to the U.S. government, but yeah, I need a bit more information. But I'm showing the visa bulletin again on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and you can see here there's an employment-based section. So even if you've done all those steps I mentioned and file that petition after labor certification, you still have to wait for the visa bulletin. Okay, so this is especially most important, well, really for everyone, but especially more people who are abroad. They're more cognizant of this. So currently, you can see here EB2 and EB3. It's not so far off. It's like, working on case a petition was filed in December 2022 or May 2023, depending on the category here. The most common, again, are EB3 and EB2. But again, if you're from China, India, Mexico, Philippines, you have a bit longer wait time, especially from India. China, India usually have the longer wait times. For them, it's for those nationals is May 2012 for EB2. So just kind of give you an example of what we look through on the flip side. Okay, when you become a client, we look at that. So yeah, we'll love to answer your question a bit more, but it's kind of too broad for me. I don't know if I need for me to give you information, I need to know more about your case type. I can't speak too generalized. Akaline Brown. Can you please tell if Jamaica is working an interview on family-based visa? Okay, let me check out. Let me see if I can go to the visa statistics. So we actually are going to share this on our Facebook group. So if you go to our Facebook group, what is that called? Oh, there we go. tinglawclub.com. Okay, go to tinglawclub.com. You can join our Facebook group there. But I do want to share my screen on how we look up the visa statistics. Okay. So you're set family-based. So I'm assuming immigrant visa. That'll be immigrant visa. I'll look at the most recent, March 2023. Okay, it does share with you. It does make it a little bit smaller. Okay. Kingston, Jamaica. I don't know which category you are, but let me move that. Okay, yeah, you did. Okay, Alkaline Brown, if you're still on, you share what category you are. But CR1, okay, is 17. They issued 17 visas in March 2023. It's now May, so you might be wondering why not give the stats for May. They don't have it available. They don't even have April available yet. They're usually about a month or 2 months late. And then you're an F11. Let's see. Does that show up? I think you mean maybe this one, F1. So they issued 301 visas in F1 category. But I don't think that's the one you're talking about. Right? Is it? Okay. What else? So hopefully that gives you an idea. But that doesn't give you the best indication on necessarily that, okay, 301 were issued for that specific category. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to that your case is going to get sent right there. It doesn't have, the U.S. government does not have a great, in fact, I think it has a poor or no system at all to tell you exactly when you're going to be able, your case is going to get to the next step. It'd be nice if you give you heads up, right? Because maybe you're traveling or for work. It'd be great if they give you a heads up, like, oh, your case is in queue for interview, like literally in queue, not just documentary qualified, but it's in queue for an interview like next month. We don't know the exact date, but maybe it can be in 1 or 2 months. That'd be nice to do that, but they don't. Okay. You got DQ'd May 2023. Oh, okay. Well, that was this month. Okay. Your prior date is 2016. I see. Let me see if I share my screen again. So if you're talking about F1, okay. So yeah, that would be, they're working on cases, at least getting it started for right before the stage of documentary qualified, 2017, right? So yours, you said prior date 2016. So unfortunately, that doesn't give you a best indication of that your interview is going to be like next month, unfortunately. But hopefully that helps a little bit. It sounds like you're on track, okay? A Brown, all right. So anyways, the best way to contact us, folks, if you have any more questions, we do greatly appreciate it. Y'all considering us for us to answer your question. You can go to this website right here if you want free visa quiz, if you're interested in the free 15 minutes. Or just give us a call when you have time. In our CARES team, who are the team members that answer the phone initially, to be extra clear for our state bar, of course, and for you, our CARES team are not lawyers, okay? They're not licensed. They are employees. They work for the company. So you have to understand, if you are, a lot of people call in, they're asking all these legal questions. We love to help you. We train the team, but they're not, I asked them to not share legal advice because you might depend on it. And then you might not call us back, right? So that's why it's better to we try to schedule you for a consultation so that the attorneys who are licensed through their state bar are able to answer your question. And of course, I used to be the one to do the consultations, all of them before, but I just physically can't do that. So please know if you do want one-on-one time with me specifically, you don't have to, but if you do have to pay for that consultation to secure that. Sometimes from time to time, I do hop in and surprise folks, but the default is that the consultations are handled, covered by our premier associate attorneys. Okay, folks. Omar, I don't have the answer to that question. How long does an immigrant visa? Well, depending on your question, how long does an immigrant visa interview take in Turkey? Just in general, not necessarily related to a specific country. Folks, most people tell us 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. It's fairly quick, but just because it's different than like USCIS in America, typically when it's quicker, you're more likely to get that decision sooner because maybe no red flags. But the consulates or embassies, it's different. The shorter it is, the interview doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the visa sooner. Well, I just spoke really fast there. But yeah, hopefully that helps, yo. Okay, so I think that's what your question was, Omar, but maybe I didn't. Maybe you're asking something else. Okay. All right. Hopefully it helps. And we appreciate y'all. Have a wonderful day. Okay. Take care now. Bye-bye.